How do I know when threat of divorce equals, I want out, versus, I will obliterate you? My wife has been giving increasingly escalating threats. About once a week for close to 3 months now. But she has not filed. She has not hired a lawyer, or at least says she hasn't. And while she can list 50 ways I failed her during our marriage, number 25. Stayed at luxury hotel but didn't buy dinner at resort restaurant. The horror, she can't answer basic questions about life after divorce, like, are we selling the house? I am totally confused at this point. Like, how do I tell if she is divorcing but has no clue what she is doing versus there is a bulldog lawyer working in the background about to obliterate me? Note: I am under no illusions that things are about to get better and we are going back to happy life together. Honestly, I am just trying to figure out how to tell that she wants out but has no idea what she is doing, versus, she is a criminal mastermind who is going to take all time with kids, plus all ownership of house, plus all money, plus put my dog to sleep. Feeling lost. Did I make it all up? My 33 male wife, 33 female, is packing her and my 2-year-old things up to move back home. I asked her to leave. We've been together since we were 15. Married 4 years. We had been having some discussions about our relationship since March and she physically hurt me during intercourse in June. She said she didn't know how to use her words to tell me she was uncomfortable, so she chose to hurt me physically instead. That was the first time she got physical, but not the first time we've had an issue with how she handles stress and anxiety, throwing things, raging, screaming. My problem is I feel like maybe I'm being overly sensitive about what's happened, and that I shouldn't break my family up. I chronically dismiss my feelings and intuition for the sake of others. And as this becomes my reality, I'm feeling like maybe I am making this out to be something it's not, and it's just me trying to get out of my marriage. The other issue is she's moving 1,000 miles back to our hometown and expects me to move back after I sell the house we bought together in the next month or so. I don't necessarily have anywhere to go back to for another year until something opens up in a family property, and our hometown is very, very expensive otherwise. I just don't want to be apart from my child, and I don't want her to hate me and make me an enemy. Right now I feel like I can never be with her again and be 100% happy, though I know I'll always love her, but I'd rather they both have an easier life by pushing aside my feelings and making it work one way or another. I feel like time apart will help me hash out these feelings, but I can't help but feel like I'm the bad guy. How do I find my way out? Mental health/depression/loneliness. We've been married 10 years in a few months' time. Long story, it is a codependent relationship. He has mental health issues and is unwilling or incapable of addressing his issues without my assistance. I am not providing assistance because of my work in individual therapy and setting boundaries and keeping them. In couples therapy, he said he's already giving more than he can sustain. He can't do any more than he is right now, and it's not enough for me. I love him but need to value myself before anything. Also, I'm addressing my own loneliness and depression that tie into the codependency in individual therapy. He makes 1 out of 10 of our expenses. I would easily figure out a way to afford life without his help. My problem is, how do I make a plan? I have 1 month of expenses saved, but for reasons that I can't share I cannot leave. He needs to. Do I wait till spring when it's easier to be homeless because he doesn't have much support around him, he doesn't have income, and we have 10 years of stuff together, most of it is his. I know that I do not want to be in this relationship, but how do I make such a change in my life? Right now things are passively bad, but I am dreading striking the final blow. I'm very nervous to take the first step to moving on. I feel so guilty because of the position I'll be putting him in, especially with his mental health issues. Not my freaking job anymore. I listened to this podcast episode called Not My Freaking Job. Holy crap. It was the biggest eye-opener I've ever had, and I think it might help you a lot. The gist is that it was about things that are not our freaking jobs. To beg our spouses to go to therapy. To schedule appointments and find a therapist for them. To make sure they get the kids to school with lunch. To plan ahead and make sure we have supplies. To make their lunch all the time, etc. Almost everything that was listed in this episode resonated with me, and I finally felt freedom from the weight of everything I have been doing that's not my job. The counterpoint to this is that by doing all of these things for years, I messed up. Begging my husband to help with the budget and pay the bills? Not my freaking job. I'm not his freaking mom. I shouldn't have stepped in and become one. I should have been able to trust him to take care of the stuff he should have. Of course, he didn't. But why would he? I would just take care of everything. Crap. I'm stressed just thinking about this. We are getting divorced and I am moving out in a couple weeks, but we still have to take care of things together for a while. But this week, I decided to simply stop being his mom. And I think this really reinforced my decision to leave. Our dog has some medical issue, and a few weeks ago I made her a vet appointment that happened to be this past week. My soon-to-be ex-husband agreed to take her, but mistook the day and time and, well, didn't take her in. I said to reschedule the appointment. He didn't. He still hasn't. I'm dealing with the fallout of this, because she's waking me up at night. Today I asked if he had rescheduled and he said, "She's your dog too. Can't you do it? I have scheduled every vet appointment, heck, every child's appointment. Every appointment for 16 years, so he doesn't get to act all encumbered by having to do one task. As usual, I can't count on him. So, Monday I will of course call, I want to make sure she is looked at. I'm just let down by him." Couple weeks ago, I realized I'd had it with paying all of our bills endlessly despite begging him to help, as it stresses me the heck out. I asked him to make sure the stuff was budgeted and rent was paid. He said yes. Finally last night he came to me in a panic, because he had finally gotten around to looking at the bank account. Of course, he can't pay rent now since there's not enough. You know what? Not my freaking job anymore. I'm moving out, and I've already contacted the landlord to let her know I'm out of here. I'm all done being his freaking mom. I'm all done feeling like I can't rely on him. I'm done. Don't do what I did. My 32 male wife, 32 female, filed for divorce in June of this year. We'd struggled mightily in our marriage during the prior year, inclusive of infidelity on her part. She told me she wasn't in love with me and just not attracted anymore. My looks haven't changed significantly since we've been together, 11 years. I'm in decent shape and stay active. Make plenty of money, etc. Her claim is that I'm not emotionally available, which is probably true. It's something I struggle with and am in counseling for. I've been through the grieving process of mourning our marriage, still in it, and my anticipated life. I felt the worst was behind me, and decided to join Bumble for 2 reasons. 1. My soon-to-be ex-wife has already moved on to another person. 2. I think I needed a confidence boost, and some validation that I was still a desirable person. Note to self. Don't do this. I matched with a great woman over the weekend. We aligned on all major values, shared the same sense of humor, and I found her attractive. We decided to meet this past Monday. The date was excellent. Lasted 4 hours. She extended it when there were multiple chances for the date to end. We ended the night with a kiss, and text message through the night after the date was over. I felt so happy, maybe validated that I still had it. I felt confident for the first time, in a long time, and felt life had finally taken a turn for the better. Valp, last night I received a very kind, "Thanks, but no thanks," text from the woman I saw. Citing that she just didn't feel the chemistry was there long term. Not her fault, I get it. Better to find out now, than later on. I've been crushed today. Depressed, negative thoughts, feels like I'm right back at the beginning again. What's more, the narrative that I'm unattractive or undesirable is further validated by this experience. Bottom line. I wasn't ready to get back out in the dating world, and wasn't prepared for the ego bruises that could come along with it. It wasn't worth it. I'm still fragile, wounded. I had to learn this lesson the hard way, despite reading everyone's advice here to wait until I've fully healed. Listen to this advice. I hope this helps someone. I wish I would have taken it more seriously. Met my soon-to-be ex-husband for the first time in 6 months. And I felt nothing. I was so scared that I still loved him deep down and that meeting him in person would bring all those feelings back. But the opposite happened and I feel absolutely nothing for him. I even feel a small amount of hatred for what he said and done to me. I feel relieved that I felt nothing. Not even a shred of guilt that the man that I loved so much this time a year ago now means nothing to me. I went through my phone and deleted lots of our photos. Not all of them, but a lot, and it felt so strange that the person I was then had no idea what he was truly like. I used to spend my nights crying about him. How I believed no one would ever love me the way he did, and that he was my one chance at a relationship just because he was my first boyfriend, my first lover, my first husband. But just because he was the first doesn't mean I have to settle for him. Settle for less than I deserve. I'm not the best person, but I deserve true love. I wonder how I'll feel this time in another 6 months. I hope I'm much happier than I am now, and that I'm actually divorced. I don't want to be in this mess any longer. My ex-husband gets remarried tomorrow. But there's something he doesn't know. And honestly, I'm doing okay with it. This will probably be my last post here, and I think I'm going to duck out of this sub for a bit. Every post I see makes my emotions a bit raw again, and I've been working so hard on healing after the hell he put me through. I'll be back eventually, because I don't want people to go through what I went through and feel alone. I just need a break. This sub has been so helpful since the day we split, and I cannot put into words how much I appreciate all of you. Now, our divorce has been finalized for 2 months. This is a man who manipulated me, cheated, screamed at me that I'm worthless, and made jokes about rape and divorce for months before I told him I couldn't take it anymore. He's known this woman for a year, and I've watched the abuser become the abused. It's bittersweet, really. It's nice to see him get karma, but honestly, nobody should be in an abusive relationship, and I've tried my hardest to point it out before finally giving up. She's cutting ties with his friends, his family, and even pushing him to stop being a dad to our child. It hurts my heart that he's going along with it all. To the point where he called me to tell me that he couldn't pick her up because he could have the virus because his tummy feels icky. His exact words, by the way. I realized how bad it is when I called him out on faking, and he switched back to the cold-hearted jerkwad that tells me he's an amazing father, and if our child is struggling, it's obviously because I'm filling her head with lies. The struggle didn't start until he started picking the girlfriend over our little one, but yay, that's on me. I'm at a point where I can take his attacks in stride. Divorce has been final for 2 months, but we were split for a year and a half. He was good about not being helpful with his end of the process, and I no longer give in to the bait. I never thought I'd be able to do that. I never thought I'd make it here. It's still hard. Surviving the level of emotional abuse he threw my way is a process that will be a lifelong venture, I'm afraid. I've always been the villain in his story, and I don't care anymore. Tomorrow is the day my ex-husband is getting remarried. I know he's messing up his life with a gold-digging, abusive partner, but he's not my problem anymore. I need to remind myself that my only job is to show my girl that normal, healthy relationships are not constant screaming and belittling, and do my best to make sure she knows how much I love her, and that I'll always be in her corner. Always. Sorry for the ramble. If you made it this far, thank you again. From the bottom of my heart. You showed me that I'm not alone, and that I could make it through this mess. Narcissistic Bipolar X. I wanted to see if anyone can relate to this. My ex was horrible for the most part of my marriage, about 16 years. He is a professional and very conservative and well-mannered out in public. At home he would often call me a dumb bee, or a stupid hoe in front of our kids as one of the many things he did. Finally I was able to leave him. Our youngest continues to see dad, and one day my ex is nice and other days he's having a moment. Today when I dropped our son off, my ex was in a mood. He wasn't making eye contact with me and acting strange. I asked him if he was okay. I am always nice to him and never say anything nasty, not even to our kids. I always speak well of him. Today he told me to F off, you hoe. I also had my 14-year-old daughter with me and she was horrified that her dad called me that name. I know his actions shouldn't affect me anymore, but this was very hurtful. More so because he said it in front of our kids, again. I absolutely hate drop-offs and pickups with the ex. I don't know how to resolve it. The wonderful feeling of a few dirty dishes. How happy I am feeling right now that there are dishes in my sink. You see, for 25 years, I, 50 male, was the dish doer. And the laundry person. And basically everything else around the house. Time was, we had a dishwasher and there was just my soon-to-be ex-wife, 45 female, and I. So it was very easy to keep up on the dishes. Then we had kids, and I was exhausted all the time from chasing after the kids plus, oh yeah, working a million hours a week to pay for everything, sleep? Who needs sleep? But still I did a very good job of keeping up with the dishes, in part because I had an absurd amount of physical energy. The first sign that anything was wrong with my health was 10 years ago, when suddenly I stopped doing the dishes after dinner. Instead of doing 3 loads a day after every major meal, I started letting them sit overnight because even though I was tired, I just didn't have the oomph to do the dishes at night, so would do an extra load in the morning. It turned out I had lung disease, which was why I was too tired to do the dishes. After treatment ended I had half the energy I did before, plus the kids were teens which meant they used 4 times the dishes they did before, but still I was the dish doer in the family, which meant it felt like I was constantly doing dishes. Yet there was always mountains of dirty dishes in the sink since I just didn't have the energy to do more than a load or 2 of dishes each day, usually a load before heading into the office, and on a good day a load after dinner, if I had the energy. In recent years, until my health began to relapse in February, probably from doing all the dishes, my energy had improved a little bit, and except for the 6 months our daughter's friend, who was estranged from her family, and some of my wife's classmates, who it was no problem for her to host since I was the one who did the extra domestic work, stayed with us, which added extra dishes but no extra helping hands, I got much better at keeping the sink clear. In February, I got very tired again, and reverted to doing dishes only once or twice a day, so there was once again a constant mountain of dishes laying around. My soon-to-be ex-wife was one of those people who'd do a load every 3 weeks or so and make a big fuss about her contribution. Sigh. That all changed in July when my soon-to-be ex-wife asked me to leave. Now I leave all by myself, and there is no dishwasher in a very very small kitchenette, and to be honest, I am not perfect about doing the dishes every day, so there are a few dishes usually in my sink. And how much I love that. Because they are my dishes, and there are only a few of them and not a mountain of them. And although it takes me nearly as long to wash my dishes with no dishwasher, as it did to wash the family's dishes with a dishwasher, it seems to be a much less Herculean of a task and there is never ever a mountain, in part because I only have a few dishes total. Anyway, just a few moments ago I was noticing my small pile of dishes. And how happy it made me that I am, after 25 years, doing dishes for only one. That's my story. Thank you for listening.